In the run-up to the local government elections, political parties are vying for territorial control. Nowhere is this battle more hotly contested than in the Eastern Cape. Here, the problem of dangerous street gangs is a national priority. The battle for the Bay sees political parties desperate to control the lucrative economic stronghold of the Nelson Mandela Bay.
We have also heard the call for councillors to be more visible and accessible.
Our key focus here in Nelson Mandela Bay is that we want to create jobs so that more people are working in order to purchase from those businesses.
Because Nelson Mandela is the home of the EFF. There is no any other party here.
Meanwhile, a more sinister battle wages in the streets of the Bay. A spate of gang-related killings over the past few months has led to high levels of frustration in these communities due to the current lack of community safety. Radical community anti-crime groups have risen in response to the increased levels of gang activity.
And the message to the gangsters would be, this is only a beginning of something which you have created.
The current gang war in Port Elizabeth follows the violent assassination of a notorious gang leader who was shot 35 times in broad daylight and a prominent Muslim community anti-crime activist. Aliyah T already dreamed of being a dancer by the age of 6 and was known to recruit friends in a street to celebrate life in the best way she knew how, with music. By the age of 10, she would turn a basic household chore into a dance routine, much to the amusement of a proud mom who captured her daughter's dance moves on a cell phone. At age 12, Angel T, as everyone called her, had successfully danced her way into the hearts of everyone who knew her. A few months ago, a violent incident happened in Bezeldorp, Extension 31, in the street where they lived. On the way home from the shop, Aliyah T's mom witnessed the gang shooting of a notorious gang leader. He was shot 35 times right in front of their doorstep. After the killing of Stahl, his assassins decided to cover their tracks and go after any possible witnesses to the crime. A family member describes what happened to the vibrant 12-year-old girl.
When she came back from school, the father and the mother was very happy to see her. But then as the time goes on, at about 11 o'clock, she was making the last cup of tea for the parents. And by that time, they went to sleep for a few minutes, and the bang at the door in front where the perpetrators came and just in a very ugly manner tried to force the door open, and then they went around to the back door and also by force, very ugly way, tried to force entrance into the house, where they tried to push the door open and the father tried to, get to the door, and they start shooting at him. And in the same manner, where the mother and Angel was trying to hide inside the house and went to the bathroom, and where the other perpetrators come and force the door open, and also where she was in and not she took the bullet for her mother. He just came burst into the bathroom door, but she was not taking the bullet for her mother. He forcefully was on a mission to kill Angel.
What do you believe should be done to make sure that something like this never happens again?
The high crime rate and the gangsterism in the communities today is it's so high that you want to ask yourself what is actually going on, what is the police doing, what is the people in high places doing around the gangsterism, because at the end of the day you don't know whether you can send your child to buy a loaf of bread. So where does our protection, where does our safety comes in? And we need to ask then, how safe are we at our own premises? So we would like really the police to be more visible in the areas or in the vicinities or in the community. Really the police to be more visible and to protect us even in the community and even at our own places. Really, we cry out to the police out there to really stand out and become more visible to the community and to the families.
God is the God of justice. And if we can start by the
Prayers go out as a candle burns for the T family who are traumatized in the aftermath of Angel's murder. They have been forced to move from their home for fear of being attacked. While the alleged perpetrators have been arrested and have appeared in court, a father is still in hospital for multiple gunshot wounds and a mom is in hiding.
En Here, bloed het so 'n alledaagse voorkoms kom raak in ons gemeenskap, want daagliks vloei die bloed van ons kinders en ons jong mense en ons gemeenskapslede. En Here, ons het so begin gewoon.
Justin Oliphant is a community activist who counsels families affected by gang violence. He recalls the day he found out about the violent shooting of Aaliyah T.
I made my way to the hospital to go and be with the family. And when I got there, all I saw was, brokenness. I also saw people, coming to gather around a family that's been harmed and that's been ripped apart by this violent act. She was shot in the face and died instantly. And my father tried to protect his family. One of our unsung heroes, a man who didn't ask for this, a man who wasn't involved, in gangs and in criminal activity, but simply because of what they saw, simply because of where they live, simply because of the fact that in our community, things are so sporadic, someone can get shot in front of you at any time and you become a victim, then you become, involved because of what you saw.
Justin says that the current gang war is taking its toll on the Port Elizabeth community and safety levels are at an all-time low.
When I look at January this year, January alone we had in excess of about 22 or more fatalities. So far for the month of July, we already over 10. And I would say as far as this year is concerned, we're in the vicinity of about 90 or more. And that's not looking at violent fatalities. We need more political will. We need more buy-in from leadership to stop making empty promises. We hear about a Metro Police, for instance. We don't see Metro Police officers. Our police are, they overworked. They're literally out of their depth. We need to see more concerted efforts made, especially in terms of what I believe could be a feasible solution, where we replace the gun with something more, more conducive to a better life. Replace the gun with skills, replace the gun with something, that'll give hope.
Due to the recent increase in gang activity, the Malabar Patrol, a largely Islamic-based anti-crime organization, has intensified its presence following the assassination of its founder member and a prominent Muslim activist Naeem Desai by alleged gang members. They agreed to speak to us on condition we protect their identities because of the standoff between the group and the gangs.
Because of the frustration, the devastation, the problem that these gangsters caused. Because Naeem was a stumbling block for them, other groups, other parties outside Malabar patrols joined in with the patrolling itself and said that, so this convoy that we are going to do is not a Malabar patrol convoy. This patrol that we're going to do is now became a community-based patrol, which means that we are not only standing up for Naeem's right, we are also going to stand up for the innocent people that cannot talk for themselves, who are being actually tormented. Actually, the right word is tormented by the gangsters and the gangsters that are affiliated to the thieves.
The cowards that will always take you when you're not looking, when they cannot face you man to man.
The radicalization of this group is clear in their chant.
My message would be to the community: don't let them take what is not theirs. Safeguard what is yours. Stand up for your right. And the message to the gangsters would be: This is only a beginning of something which you have created, a mistake that you've made that will start and will torment you and gain on you for the rest of your life. Port Elizabeth community in the northern areas are not willing to stand down from the gangsters, and examples will be made if they cross our line. If they break our territory, or if they try and stop us from what we are doing, if they want to use lead is what they will get in return.
These heavily armed patrols are currently being conducted 3 times a week in the Port Elizabeth northern areas and are aimed at countering the gang threat. The resurfacing of community safety groups in Port Elizabeth area is a reflection of the lack of faith these communities have in the police to protect them.
Do you need a funeral policy?
Joy is found in the little things. Ke ho phedisa, ho fepa le ho hodisa.
Ukuba ibone ukuvela kwethuba lalokho okungenzeka.
And being there when one journey ends and another begins.
'n idee van die klein dingetjies wat kosbare herinneringe word.
Life is the gift of growing new memories each day.
So that our loved ones can preserve them after we are no longer here.
Life is a gift to us.
Since 1918, AFBOB has comforted and supported South African families in their time of need.
Protecting their loved ones' memories with respect and dignity.
Plus, committed and trusted funeral representatives
with more than 250 branches nationwide.
There for you every hour of every day.
AFBOB provides a complete funeral service solution for everyone, even if you're not an AFBOB policyholder.
Make sure your family comes first. Always. AFBOB, we're here for you.
If you would like AFBOB to call you about a new policy, SMS family and your name to 41790.
Salute ya, correct ya, Taizana, ya kan nomor batek dalaman yang kay kompetisi sesuai China batek sebagai.
The words of this song, Hosh, which is a way of greeting fellow gang members, provides a social commentary on the divisions between members of the 26 gangs through addressing the ongoing gang war in Port Elizabeth. Junant Peterson, an aspiring hip-hop artist, is an ex-convict, and although no longer an active gang member, he still aligns himself with the 26 gang in prison, where he spent 4 years in maximum security.
Song het ek gewat nam skryf oor wat aangaan in onze kleurling gebiede. Binnekan aan die tronk aan ons almal broers, en ons almal braze. Ons sit saam, ons eet saam, maar buitekant nie. En ons almal kleus op mekaar, ons skiet op mekaar, ons wil mekaar vermoor. Toe ek vir ouens gesê, ouens, ons moet 'n bietjie vaskyk man. Om my kyk, hier nommer, skielik Tsana, Mpumalanga, Nyongaloza, om 'n bietjie kyk man. By die nommer staan, sê nommer ons verdala 4de kamp. So ons verdala iemand, ons maak iemand seer, ons maak iemand dood. Wat wil kom met gangsterisme hier? Maar buitekant die is ons dan nie so niemand. Ons skiet dan mekaar dood. As ouens wat mekaar doodskiet, so die boeke wat ek wil gee vir die ouens, as die ouens moet vaskyk man. En ons kan dit ons ons het 'n probleem met mekaar. Kan ons moet dit uitsoort man. So hoekom soos ons in die tronken maak, so hoekom kan ons nie so hoekom kan ons nie buitekant maak? As ons sien ons issues met mekaar, ons het met issues hier met mekaar en soort ons dit uit.
Junant says the only way to counter the spread of gangs in this area is to deal with the high levels of unemployment in the city.
Geef die ouens skills dan sal die strate veiliger is. Wat ek bedoel, jy kan nie vir 'n gangster gaan sê nie, kyk jy los gangsterisme nie, maar jy het nie vir iets om hom aan te bied nie. As jy vir jou sê vir hom los gangsterisme, moenie dit doen nie, moenie dwelm verkoop nie, maar jy kan vir hom niks gee nie. Hy mag gaan vir jou sê nee, kom ek stop. Ek maak geld, ek eet. So baie van die ouens is daarin omdat hulle honger is, omdat hulle nie eet nie. As jy vader vergier nie.
As an ex-convict, he believes that the increased numbers of gangs in Port Elizabeth is connected to the inability of the current prison system to rehabilitate first-time offenders.
Die tronk se rehabilitasie trek hoe verder in die tronk in. Hoe kan jy 'n kind wat nou vir 12 maande kry? Hy word 12 maande hy gestraf, hy word gestuur na 'n medium gevangenis toe. Maar nou, jy gooi hy man, wat hy kind van 20, 21, sit hy hom met iemand wat 20 jaar in die tronk is. Ek bedoel, waar kan die government wil dit maak? So, hy oukie gaan dieper in die gang, in die nommer gang. So, wat maak hulle met onze kinders? So, wat maak hulle met onze generation? Onze generation is vastgevang. Van nou hier kom jy hier, nou sodomiseer hulle jou, nou jy die siektes op, maar jy kom hier met 12 maande, maar hulle sit jou met iemand wat nie tronk is wat amper 20 jaar, 16 jaar. Nou hoe kan jy sê, hoe kan die government sê, die tronk rehabilitasie dit werk? Goed wat ek gesien het.
There's a serious lack of government-funded programs in the Eastern Cape that provide an alternative to young people caught up in crime. As we journeyed through the province, we came across a remote community project in King Williamstown run by the local crime sector forum that is currently looking at finding a solution to the growing drug problem in the township.
Our youngsters are frustrated because they can't find jobs. So we came to this decision to start this project. And this project is started by the forum, the sector crime forum. But the project is not really ours. We started a project for the community. We want our youngsters to benefit from it.
Willem Williams is a recovering drug addict who has been benefiting from the simplicity of this agricultural project, which he sees as an escape from his addiction.
Wat dwelms nog net vir my beteken het in die einde van die dag was net my ondergaan. In die beginstadiums dan voel jy die hele wêreld op jou, dit gaan net lekker, jy wil net in die ding in is. Maar dit is eintlik die ding wat dit bestaar by alkohol. Ons op die skool, ons start skool daar en van die skool af dan begin jy alkohol. En van alkohol so raak dit interessant en dan begin jy die zolletjie rook en af van die zolletjie so gaan dit verder. En aan die einde van die dag dan mix jy op mijn vriende wat hele nie verkeerde duidingsmakke is in die lewe in 'n verkeerde gesig kyk. So nou hulle het 'n slegte invloed op jou wat nog vars in die ding is. En so raak jy addicted in die hele besigheid. En dan dit is moeilik om van dit af te kom. So ek dink terselfdertyd vir daai ene daar buitekant wat daar sit met die probleem van hy wil graag kan ek sê ontslaa raak van draak, want draak is soos 'n kiem. Sê in jou is moeilik om met my te kom. Ek weet daarvan, ek was in dit kos. So hier is 'n plek vir hom waar hy kan hier kom. Dit hou van meestal so stolan gesê het, dit hou van met die straat uit. Terselfdertyd dit hou van dit af wat hy graag wil van wegkom. So dit kan vir hom einde van die dag wegbring van die drugs af.
The unemployment rate in this part of the country is 37%. Experts believe it is a key reason for the high crime in the area and will prove to be a deciding factor for voters in the local government elections. Drug syndicates thrive in areas of high unemployment, and this leads to an escalation of violence between gangs competing for control of this industry.
Port Elizabeth has always been known as the friendly city. But in recent months, there has been a high number of gang-related incidents in this area, making it one of the priority areas for intervention by national government, along with Eldorado Park and Manenberg. The Eastern Cape Provincial Government has reacted and responded by creating an anti-gang strategy, which is aimed at an integrated approach to solving the Port Elizabeth gang problem.
At the launch of the Provincial Crime Prevention Strategy in Umtata by the Department of Safety and Liaison, the MEC says that the gang problem in the province is not unique to the Nelson Mandela Bay.
There's a lot of drug outlets within our areas. So that's the reason why we are saying it's extended to this site. It was within the other area of the province in the Nelson Mandela, but we found that there are more gangsters, especially in the area when we'll be launching, which are emerging in the Mtata, especially in the Ngangelizwe area. That's the reason why we said in this area we have to prevent before it extends to other areas. Whilst on the other side of the province, we are trying to fight it as much as possible.
The launch of the anti-gang strategy was preceded by a provincial government report which revealed that the reason for the increase in gang violence is the lack of cohesion in government's approach to dealing with the problem.
This is going to be a test for real integration because we'll have all the departments there. So who are these key departments you talk about? Obviously, the Department of Safety and Liaison will lead this process, but we are not exclusively responsible for this. The Department of Social Development is a key stakeholder, particularly around the issue of social services. You know, counseling to young children. They provide ECD assistance, etc. Education, critical partner, schools. You know, ideally, we'd like to ensure when you go to the former Model C schools, you see they don't really worry about fencing. And they say, but fencing is not a deterrent. But when you go to schools in the northern areas, fencing is a deterrent. Gangs don't just run through. So I'm saying those are the equal, the haves and have-nots of schools. So school safety for education, we want to prioritize. Education is a critical partner. Obviously, we're working with the NPA, the National Prosecuting Authority. We're working with the Nelson Mandela Municipality, the Mandela Bay Development Agency. But we also have a collaboration with GIZ, the Germans, and we will be supporting the Community Safety Forum in the Nelson Mandela, because the Community Safety Forum is a forum that exactly what we do, bring all the stakeholders together and say, what are you doing in the metro this year?
They also expressed concern about the possible re-emergence of radical community groups in the metro.
This is a constitutional democracy. We can't allow anarchy. We can't allow vigilantism. If they emerge and they're coming back, they will have to work within the prescripts of our safety and security prescripts. We can't, you see, the moment we allow anarchy and the moment we allow vigilantism, we are setting bad precedents, not just for the northern, but for the country as a whole. So, if part of it emerge, we as a department, we welcome partnerships, but as long as we work within the prescripts of the law.
Operation Lockdown was recently launched in the metro in response to the current gang war. The National Prosecution Authority and the police believe that the operation is proving to be a success and that they have a handle on the problem.
Problem 3 children out of the 35 gangs, it's your upstand dogs, it's your sport bowers, and it's your Chinas. There are a couple of others, that are becoming also major gangs now. But our focus for the time being, especially recently after the establishment of, Operation Lockdown, we are focusing, on those 3.
Have there been successes in terms of Operation Lockdown to date?
There have been successes. About 2 weeks ago, we had our first trial in the High Court, and the accused in that case was sentenced to imprisonment for life. And then last week we had another trial which was in the regional court. That one was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment. In the next 2 weeks, we've got 2 more trials, that are happening. The 2 in the regional court, and then the 2 in the High Court, and the rest of them in the regional court. So yes, there have been successes. Operation Lockdown is still new, but already we are seeing successes.
Kodwa eyona nto ndifuna igxininisa kakhulu uba amapolisa ewodwa kulaa ndawo yaseBhayi, ngakumbi kule ndawo isesicazini, awanawukwazi ukulwa ubundlobongela obufana negangsterism. Inxaxheba yoluntu lwalaa ndawo nezinye iinkonzo namanye amasebe, izinto nezinye iinkonzo ezifana ne-non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, kubalulekile ukuba sisebenze kunye nathi thina mapolisa. Ngokomzekelo, thina mapolisa sisebenza kulaa ndawo ubusuku nemini, asilali ukuqinisekisa ukuba uluntu lwalaa ndawo lukhuselekile.
The Eastern Cape is the first province in the country to adopt an integrated approach to countering the gang pandemic. This initiative, however, comes very late, considering that so many lives have been lost in the past few years.
this is Trends, of course, your one-stop serving of all that's juicy and trending in the world of entertainment and showbiz. My name, of course, is Refill Wemwilo.
I'm Dr. Sello Mutaung, and this is our talk.
A very good morning and welcome to Media Monitor. I'm your host, Alicia Jolly.
My name is Dumila Matters.
Ulemule Bati.
My name is Mpo. What time is it? It's question time.
For your daily dose of current affairs, tune in to the SABC News Channel.
The Nelson Mandela Bay municipality is considered to be hot property in the 2016 local government elections, especially since the ANC won by a narrow margin of 48.81%, only 8% ahead of the Democratic Alliance. One of the burning issues here is the ongoing shortage of teachers at schools in the northern areas. The city's residents have over the years expressed their dissatisfaction with the selection and performance of ward councillors. At the launch of the manifesto for the local government elections in 2015, the president promised to keep councillors more accountable.
Call for councillors to be more visible and accessible. We have thus ensured that our councillors hold report back and feedback meetings with their communities.
Another burning issue is the high rate of unemployment.
Our key focus here in Nelson Mandela Bay is that we want to create jobs so that more people are working in order to purchase from those businesses, that we create an economy in Woma that works for all the people.
This is your party, the EFF is your party. Not even DA is your party.
Along with education, the issue of community safety has seen political parties lobby in the streets of Port Elizabeth. One of the new parties in the race for the Bay is the Patriarchal Alliance led by Gayton McKenzie.
The problem of gangsterism, everybody that talks about how they're going to sort gangsterism out is starting at the wrong point. You can't start at a policing point. You got to start at the economic point. Gangsterism, gangs are fighting because of drugs. Drugs is money. They are fighting and shooting each other because they need money. Now, because that's the only economic opportunity that's in colored areas.
In our community, straightforward, we've got a drug problem. We've got a problem with unemployment. We've got a problem with gangs and with violence. We've got a problem with HIV and AIDS. We've got problems in our community which need to be addressed. And you can have these fancy meetings and spend millions. You don't need to spend millions on a meeting to find out what's really happening here. Come to us, the activists, we'll tell you.
While the battle for the Bay wages, the battle in the streets of the Bay continues unabated, and families like the T family continue to hope and pray for peace in the streets and in their homes.
And the world. So today, whatever we are doing, let's become quiet.